Alright, so exponents part 4 is where we look at zero and negative exponent properties. So the first property is the zero exponent property. So anything except zero, raised to the 0 power is 1. So here here's my rule, any number, a is any number, to the 0 power, you will always get 1. So if we look at these examples, 7 to the 0 power, well, that's any number, to the 1 power is 1, or 0 power is 1. If we look at number 2, again, parentheses are important. So the negative 5 is in parentheses, so that whole thing is to the 0 power equals 1. I'm going to skip to number 4 so we can look at the difference between the two. So number 2, the negative 5 is in the parentheses. Here, just the 5 is in the parentheses. So just this piece is 1. So I have the negative still out there, and the 5 to the 0 is 1. So in this case, this one's negative 5. Alright, so now I want you to pause, and I want you to try numbers 3, 5, and 6 on your own. Alright, if we look at number 3, the whole 2x is in parentheses to 0 power, so that's going to give us 1. If we look at number 5, just the x has the 0, so again, parentheses, here is the difference. Just the x has the 0, so this piece right there is 1. So I'm going to have 2 times 1, which is just 2. Alright, number 6, if we look, the only variable with the 0 exponent is the b. So the 3 and a are still there, but the b to the 0, that's the 1 part. So in turn, this gives me 3a. So the main thing from this is if you have a 0 exponent, that variable turns into 1. Alright, moving on, if we look at negative exponents, so we kind of discussed this when we divided, when you had negatives. So a negative exponent means how many times you divide by the number. So you end up taking there shouldn't be a blank there. Take the reciprocal of the base and the exponent becomes positive. So that's the dividing part, the reciprocal. So my rule is if I have a number a to a negative exponent, I'm going to end up making it positive by changing it to the reciprocal of a, which is 1 over a, and then my exponent becomes positive. So if I look at example 7, I have 3 to the negative 2. So I'm going to make my base, take the reciprocal of my base, which is 1/3, and then my exponent stays on the 3 and becomes positive. And this one we can actually evaluate because we know what 3 squared is. It's 9. Alright, if we look at number 8, the negative exponent is only on the x, not the 4. So again, here's where parentheses come into play. This one doesn't have it, therefore the negative exponent is only on the x. So I'm going to have 4 times, if I take the reciprocal of x, that's 1 over x to the first power. Well, in turn, this just becomes 4 over x. So that first power, we don't have to write that as an exponent. Alright, so I want you to try 9 and 10. They're a little bit different than 7 and 8, but I just want you to give it a try. So on number 9, the a to the negative 4 is the only with the exponent, the negative exponent. So that's the only piece that I'm taking the reciprocal of. So 7b cubed stays in the numerator, and then I move a to the 4th in the denominator because that's taking the reciprocal and making it positive. So basically we're switching locations. So if it was originally in the numerator, we'll move it to the denominator, and vice versa. So number 10, the x is what has the negative exponent. So I'm going to have 2 over x cubed y to the 5th. So just the x moves to the denominator. So again, you're taking the reciprocal and moving it to make your exponent positive. Alright, the reverse is true as well. So if I end up with a negative in my denominator to begin with, then I'm going to take the reciprocal and make it positive. So the reciprocal of 1 over a is just a, and then your exponent becomes positive. So if we look at a number 11, my exponent's negative in the denominator, so I'm going to take the reciprocal of 1/2, which is just 2, and make my exponent positive. Then we can take 2 to the 4th power, and when we do that we get 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. Alright, on number 12, if you notice you have negatives in both the numerator and the denominator. So here we're going to take the reciprocal of both of those. So in this case, both of them switch locations so that we can make them positive. So I end up with 3y cubed over x squared. And then number 13, the a in the numerator is negative and the b in the denominator is negative. So I'm going to switch those places as well. So I'm going to have 2b cubed. That was already positive, so that stays the same. I'm going to move this c up top and the a to the denominator. So there's your answer on that one. I want you to go through and write down what questions you may have, if you found anything confusing, and what did you learn. In class, I will show you a little bit more on why the negatives work out to be like this and why the 0 exponent is 1. So please list your questions and what you found to be confusing.